So now we are going to study about the transformation of heat. Okay, as you know that heat is nothing but a flow of energy by the virtue of temperature difference. If there is some temperature difference, then heat flows from one point to the other point. Okay, so if you consider two bodies, one is hot body and second is cold body. What is hot body? Whose temperature is greater than the second one by the virtue of the temperature of the second one, then you call the first body as hot body and second body is cold body. And if you keep two bodies in contact, then you know that heat flows from hot body to cold body. Now this is called transformation of heat. Okay, so as you can see here, heat flows in three ways. There may be three possible mode of heat transfer. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, so if you okay, so if you if you have a metallic rod in your hand, if you keep the one side of the metallic rod on the fire and on the other side if you have your hand, then after some time you feel hotness because heat is flowing from hot end to cold end. Okay, so this time heat is flowing through the rod, a metallic rod. In the second possibility is if you stand in front of a fire or if you keep hands on the fire, okay, some distance from the fire, then you feel hotness. So this time there is no metallic rod here, but still the heat is flowing from fire to your hand. And third possibility is if you stand some distance from the fire, still you feel the hotness. This is a third type of heat transformation. Therefore, heat flows in three ways, either by conduction or by convection or by radiation. Now this is called mode of heat transfer. So there may be three possible modes. Mode of heat transfer. There may be three possible modes. The first mode is called conduction. First mode of heat transfer is called conduction. Second mode of heat transfer is called convection. And third type of heat transfer is called radiation. Okay, so depending on the material, the type of material you are using, whether they are solid, liquids or gases or the circumstances, it decides the flow of heat. Okay, let me first study about the conduction. Okay, so this conduction mainly takes place in case of solids. Okay, you can see the flow of this type of mode of heat transfer in case of solids, especially in metals we can see this behavior. So what is meant by conduction here? So conduction means the most possibility of conduction is in case of solids. Okay, solids means what? Solids means the position of the atoms are fixed. They have highly positional order. Their positions are fixed. Okay, now such kind of arrangement we call it as solids. So if I assume that, okay, this is one molecule I am showing you, okay, some bigger size molecule here, okay, for the sake of time. See, if you take a metallic rod, let me assume that this is one molecule. Let me call this molecule as some 1. Okay, so in solids the atoms are very closely packed. So on the neighbor of 1 is 2, then it is 3, then 4, then 5. Okay, this is one type of mechanics. Okay, second mechanics may be between 1 and 2 there may be a bond. I can represent that bond in terms of an spring like this. Okay, so this is my first type of okay explanation for the conduction. So this is a metallic rod. It contains a large number of molecules. For the sake of explanation, I am taking only 5 molecules. Okay, for the sake of explanation, I am taking that molecules are in a bigger size. Let me heat on one side of the rod. Okay, so let me heat on this particular side, after some time, if you keep your hand on the other side, you feel hotness. The reason is, and you can see here, if you hit this end of a rod, then the molecules or atoms corresponding to this end, they first get heated. Okay, these molecules on the hot side, they get heated. As you can see that the molecule 2 is in contact with molecule 1. Okay, once it becomes an hot molecule, it attains some temperature. That now state we call it a steady state. Let me explain in the some other class here. Okay, so when it attains some steady temperature, high temperature, then see this, you can see that molecule 1 is in contact with molecule 2. As you compare the temperature of molecule 1 and molecule 2, molecule 1 has high temperature compared to molecule 2. Therefore, heat flows from molecule 1 to molecule 2, atom 1 to atom 2, or particle 1 to particle 2. Are you getting me? You are putting heat on the one side of the rod. The molecules, okay, so the molecules on the side of this flame, they get heated first, and the other molecules which are contact with this molecule, the first layer of the molecule, they absorb heat from the first layer. Therefore, heat flows from 1 to 2. Then again you can see that the molecule 3 is in contact with molecule 2. When the molecule becomes when molecule 2 becomes an hot one, it is in contact with third molecule. So therefore the heat flows from 2 to 3. Okay, so similarly, if you compare 3 and 4, 3 is a hot one, 4 is a cold one. Therefore, heat flows from 3 to 4. And similarly, finally, heat flows from 4 to 5. If we heat one end of the rod, then heat goes to the other end due to participation of molecules. Okay, so molecules participate, molecule transfer the energy from one molecule to the other molecule. It can be explained in a similar manner like this. Okay, so this is the molecule 1, so this is the molecule 2, like this, a large number of molecules, and there's some bond here. Okay, so molecules usually they are in an equilibrium position, they have some fixed position. If you supply heat to the one end, the first molecule, it absorbs that heat energy. Okay, as you know that heat is kinetic in nature. When you supply the heat energy, the atom or the molecule or the particle, they should show their kinetic nature. As you supply heat energy to the molecule, so what happens here? The molecule start oscillate. Okay, it start oscillate about its equilibrium position. Okay, so that means it is nothing but a kinetic. So it's showing the energy in terms of kinetic. As you can see that the molecule 1 is contact with molecule 2. Okay, so when the molecule 1 oscillate about its mean position, that oscillation and that energy, that kinetic energy goes to the second molecule because they are bounded. So molecule 2 also start oscillating. Therefore, the energy is transferred from molecule 1 to molecule 2. As you can see that molecule 3 is in contact with molecule 2 and molecule 2 oscillate, and the molecule 3 which is contact with molecule 2 by some bonds. So therefore the molecule 3 also start oscillating. So it goes on. So finally the energy is transferred to the fifth molecule which is on the cold end. Therefore heat flows from hot end to cold end. Now such kind of transformation is called conduction. So what is conduction? Conduction means, so I can classify, I can define that mode of heat transfer by using this. Okay, the movement of the particles like this we are defining in the same manner. Conduction means flow of heat from one end to the other end, that means from hot end to cold end, without without any actual movement, without any actual movement of without any actual movement of molecules, without any actual movement of molecules. Okay, you can see here heat is flowing from one end to other end, but the position of the molecules are fixed. They are oscillating about their equilibrium position. Okay, there is no change in momentum. Why I am saying like that? Because in the other cases there may be a possibility of change of position of the molecules, but in this case the position of the molecule is fixed. Therefore we call this phenomenon as conduction. What is conduction? Flow of heat from one end to other end without any actual movement of molecules. Molecules do not move from their equilibrium position, they just oscillate about their mean position. Okay, so where this conduction take place? Definitely in case of solids. Why? The reason is in the solids these atoms or molecules, they are bounded, they are fixed in a position. Okay, are you getting me? Now second is about convection. Okay, now second type of heat transfer, that is called convection. Okay, so convection mainly takes place in case of liquids. Okay, if you take liquids, then the phenomenon of convection take place. So to explain that one, let me take a liquid in a container. Okay, so let me take a liquid here. Okay, now see here, usually we supply heat to the bottom of the container. Okay, as you know that we supply usually, okay, so some gas flame is there, whatever may be, we supply heat energy to the bottom of an vessel or container. Okay, let me assume that if I supply, okay, if I supply some heat, if I'm supplying some heat to the top layer of the liquid, then what happens? After some time you can see that now the top layer of the molecule, the top layer of the water is boiling. It is boiling. If you put a finger, okay, inside the liquid, okay, after if you better if you go for the bottom of the container, then you feel coldness. You feel coldness. That means if you put flame on the upper face of the molecule, so water surface, then molecules on the upper surface, they get heated, they start boiling, they may vaporize also, but in the water molecules which are present in the bottom, they never heated, they always remain cold. Okay, therefore this mode of heat transfer is somewhat different from the conduction. To understand that one, now let me see here. Okay, so usually we put usually we put heat on the bottom of the container. Okay, then we observe that, okay, after some time, after half an hour, okay, if I see the temperature of the water throughout the liquid, it remains same, top and bottom, definitely water get heated. So that is different from when I am putting fire on the upper surface. The reason is, now see here, so again let me assume that now this water, they are made up of water molecules. So this time in case of water molecules, these molecules are free, not like that of solids, where the solids, the molecules are strongly bounded, but in case of water, these molecules are free. They're free. Okay, so there is no bond between them. Now let me take, see, when you apply the heat energy to the bottom of the container, then you can see that the molecules which are present on the bottom of the surface, first they absorb this heat energy. Okay, because they are close with the flame of heat, therefore this molecule first they absorb heat energy. As we studied in the thermal properties of matter, when the molecules absorb heat energy, then expansion take place. Okay, as you know that Now, this is the usual behavior, general behavior. When material absorbs heat energy, then expansion take place. So these molecules get expanded. That means their volume increases. If volume increases, then what happens to their density? As you know that density is nothing but mass by volume. Okay, so density is mass by volume. As the volume increases, as your volume increases, definitely the density decreases. Okay, so now see here. So there are millions of molecules are there, but these molecules, these particular molecules, they are at the bottom of the container. Why they are at the bottom of the container? The reason is very simple, because they have more density compared to the other molecules. Therefore they are at the bottom. Now this time, when you heat this layer of the molecules, then their density has been decreased. As the density has been decreased, okay, so you know that the material sink only when its density is greater than the density of the water, then that material sink. Okay, when it floats, if that density is less than the density of water, then it floats. As you can see here, this is a layer of the molecules. Now they have the lesser density. As they have the lesser density, that means they should go to the upper side. Okay, because the density has been decreased. So these molecules go to the top of the surface, and the molecules which are present on the top of the surface, okay, so the molecules which are having the more density, they come to the bottom. So the movement of molecules take place. Okay, so the layer in the bottom of the container, first they get heated. Okay, so they attain some high temperature, so their volume increases, their density decreases, therefore they go to the upper side, and the molecules which have higher density, they come to the lower side. Okay, when you see this one, okay, the movement of molecule take place. At the same time, this molecule transfer energy, heat energy. As these molecules are hot molecules, they have some high temperature. So as the molecules move from, due to the gravity only, because density has been decreased, now these molecules are moving from bottom to top, but they are carrying, this time they are carrying some heat energy. Okay, so this movement, this phenomena, this cycle continues as long as all the molecules get heated. Okay, so again here you can see that the heat has been transferred from this end to this end. So again there is a transformation of heat is there. It has been transferred, but this time you can see that actually this time heat is transferred from bottom to top. Who is involved in this process? The molecules. This time molecules are not transferring energy to the other molecules. Molecule itself move from one end to the other end to carry the energy. Therefore, here again heat is transferred, but the movement of molecules are there. In the last case, there is no movement of molecules, but in case of convection, you can see that there is a movement of molecules. So what is meant by convection? Convection means, same here, the flow of heat. Okay, it flows from it flows from it flows from one end to the other end, I have to write, with actual movement. Okay, due to the movement of molecules, with the actual movement of with the actual movement with the actual movement of molecules with the actual movement of molecules. Now such kind of phenomena we call it as mode of heat transfer is called convection, and convection is not possible in case of solids. The reason is, for the convection particle has to move, but in solids, as you can see that particle doesn't move from their equilibrium position. So convection is possible only in case of liquids. Okay, liquids and gases it may be possible. And third type, now see, so that is the difference between conduction and convection. In conduction, In conduction, there is no movement of the particles, but in convection, there is movement of the particles. But the similarity between conduction and convection is, in both the heat transfer case, molecules are required. A medium is required. Okay, as you can see that the without movement of molecules or with movement of molecules. That means what? To carry that energy, the molecules are required. The medium is required. Are you getting me? The particles are required. But there is third type of heat transfer. As you can see that, okay, so we are getting heat energy. Our source of heat energy is mainly the sun. Sun is the main source of heat energy. Okay, as you know that between Earth and the sun, up to certain kilometers, we have the atmosphere, we have the medium. Okay, after atmosphere, okay, after certain kilometers, then up to the sun, as you know that there is no medium. There is no medium between the sun and the earth. But still we are getting heat energy from the sun. Okay, so no medium. What's meant by no medium? That means there is no molecules or particles in between sun and the earth. Still we are getting the heat energy. Now this is due to third type of heat transfer. Okay, here heat is transferred from one point to other point. This time there is no medium. Medium is not required, even though, so that is some quite different phenomena. Okay, to understand this one, we have to study about electromagnetic radiations. Okay, so that electromagnetic radiations, they doesn't require medium for their transformation. Okay, so in a PU level, let me define what is meant by radiation. What is radiation? Heat flows from one point to the other point without any help of medium. No molecules are involved, no particles are involved. Okay, so nothing is there, still the heat flows, then it is called radiation. So that phenomena is called radiation. What is radiation? Heat flows from one end to other end to the other end. It flows from one end to other end without any help of intermediate. Okay, in between sun and earth there is no medium. Without any help of intermediate medium, there is no medium is required. Such kind of mode of heat transfer, we call it as radiation. Okay, so now this is the brief introduction about conduction, convection and radiation. Okay, let me go for, okay, so let me some highlight some main important phenomena regarding conduction. Okay, so we have to study little bit about conduction. Okay, so conduction take place in case of solids. Okay, so in NCERT book, so we have a fine formula to understand the rate of flow of heat through the conduction. Okay, we can say that so this amount of heat is flowing through the metallic rod in this time interval. Okay, so we can have a fine formula. Okay, so first let me study about conduction. Okay, so first of all, in conduction we must know about now this whatever may be the equations, whatever may we are writing, we are saying, so it is in steady state. Okay, we are calling this state as the steady state. So when you heat a metallic rod, first there is a variable state. Okay, first we observe the variable state and after some time we are going to get this steady state. So first let me say that what is meant by this variable state and steady state. So conduction take place in case of solids. Okay, let me take some metallic rod. If we heat at one end of the metallic rod, okay, so you observe that heat flows from one end to other end. So heat flows from one end to other end only when there is some temperature difference. Okay, heat is nothing but a flow of energy from one point to other point by the virtue of its temperature difference. That means what? There should be temperature difference. If both the bodies are having the same temperature, 100 degree and 100 degree centigrade, then heat doesn't flow. Actually, there is no net movement of heat. Okay, heat flows only when one body is having the 100 degree centigrade, other body is having the 50 degree centigrade, then only heat flows. So therefore, if I heat at one end, then what happens? Now see here, if I keep number of thermometers here, let me take here a metallic rod, let me drill that one, okay, and that in that hole, let me keep some thermometers like this. Okay, so keep some thermometers. Okay, what you observe here? You can see that when you heat this one, so first this particular end of the metallic rod, it get heat. Okay, because it is in close contact with the fire, therefore this particular part get heated. Okay, so somewhat let me assume that it has become some 60 degrees centigrade. Okay, as this particular part get heated, as you know that these molecules are in close contact with each other, therefore heat flows from this end to this end. Okay, so what should be the temperature of this end? It is somewhere around 50 degrees centigrade. Okay, first this particular part, it absorbs the heat energy and certain amount of heat energy is given to the next part. Therefore, the temperature of this one 60 is greater than, okay, so this end. Then what happens now as these molecules are in contact with, as this particular end is contact with this end, therefore this material absorbs the heat energy. Therefore, this temperature becomes 40 degrees centigrade. Similarly, 30 degrees centigrade, then is 20 degrees centigrade. Are you getting me? So there is some temperature differences there. Therefore, due to the temperature difference, heat is flowing from one end to other end. As it goes on, heat, okay, supplying heat to this end, then what happens? The 60 become 70. Okay, so this 60 degree. Okay, when you continue supplying the heat energy, therefore now that particular part of the material, it absorbs the heat energy, therefore its temperature is also increasing as it's simultaneously conducting also. Okay, so simultaneously, so some part of energy is absorbed and some part of the energy is conducting. So as some part of the energy is conducting, therefore this 50 degree is raised to, let me assume that 60 degree. Now similarly, now this material absorbs certain amount of energy and it conducts some amount of energy. Therefore, here is also some raise of temperature. 40 becomes 50, here 30 becomes 40, 20 becomes 30. If it goes on heating this one, if you continue the heating process, so the temperature goes on increases. Here it becomes 80, now here it becomes 70, this 50 becomes 60, like this. Okay, are you getting me? Now this state is called variable state. Okay, you are calling this state as variable state. What is meant by variable state? As you can see that, okay, usually when we start heating the materials, we always observe variable state in the first state. Okay, so first the material itself absorbs the energy so that its temperature also increasing. Now see here, so why it is called variable state? As you can see that at each point on the metallic rod, the temperature is increasing. It is not constant. The temperature goes on increases. Therefore, it is varying. We call this state as variable state. Okay. So after some time, 5 or 10 minutes, it depends on the nature of the material, the supply of it, whatever we will. Let me assume that after some temperature, so after some time, this end attains a temperature of 100 degree centigrade. Okay, now that is the maximum temperature it can absorb. Okay, if you cross that 100 degree centigrade, there may be possibility that it start melting. Okay, there may be possibility that the it is the maximum absorption. Okay, once it absorb maximum, then it doesn't absorb energy. Okay, just like if we are the hungry, okay, we start eating. Okay, we start eating unless when our stomach becomes full. Once we stomach become full, then we can't eat. We stop eating. Okay, then we give the food to the other person. Okay, we stop eating like this. In the same manner, if once it attains the maximum energy, once it attains the maximum temperature, then it doesn't absorb energy. It gives the energy to the other side. Now similarly, now this one, once it attains the maximum temperature, again it does not absorb energy, it gives to the other end. And finally this temperature becomes 100 degrees centigrade. Okay, if you cross that 100 degrees centigrade, there may be possibility of melting. Okay, then this one becomes 90. Now this particular end becomes 90. Again it doesn't increase beyond 90, it remains constant. This end becomes 80, this end becomes 70, this end becomes 60. Okay, so after some time the temperature at a particular point, I am not saying that at each point, the temperature at the particular point, at this particular point the temperature remains 100, at this particular point the temperature remains 90, this particular point the temperature becomes 80, here it is 70, here it is 60. So at the particular point the temperature remains constant. Okay, now such state is called steady state. Okay, in most of our laws and theories we are using the steady state. Okay, we are discussing the laws of transfer of heat when this material attains an steady state. Okay, so this is meant by steady state. Before that we have a variable state. Okay, when you start heating the material, at initially you always have a variable state, and after a certain time the material attains an steady state. So what is steady state? The temperature at a particular point it remains constant. Okay, steady state. And second one is, okay, as you can see that the temperature of this, now this is the beauty of the nature. Okay, all the thermometer doesn't attain the same temperature. If they attain the same temperature, then what happens? Then there will be no temperature difference. As there will be no temperature difference, heat doesn't flow from one end to other end, and the process stop. Okay, you're putting cooker or you're putting, okay, so some container, so that the material present, the food stuff, the ingredients present in the cooker, you have to cook it. Okay, but first what happens? So you have an cooker which is an solid. So when you supply the heat, that first particular cooker it get heated, the conduction take place, it get heated. First it has the variable state, then it attains the steady state. Once it attains the steady state, then that cooker supply heat to the food ingredients present in the cooker. Okay, are you getting me? If this is a container, you have some food stuff here, you have some vegetables here, you have some ingredients here. Okay, so first you supply heat, then what happens? First this container gets heated, but it has the variable state, then it attains the steady state. Once it attains the steady state, then it supply, then your direct heat energy goes to the vegetables or the food stuff present in the container. Are you getting me? But if the temperature on the each point it becomes 100 degrees centigrade, then what happens? The heat doesn't flow. Okay, if the point on the each, okay, if you take this base here, if the each point on this base of the cooker or the container, if the temperature become same, then heat doesn't flow. Are you getting me? Therefore, so this is the beauty of the nature. This is the beauty of the nature. So the temperature at each point doesn't remains same. If this is 90, then on the next part the temperature is not 90, it is slightly less than 100. On the other point it is slightly less than 90. On the other point it is slightly less than 80, like this. Therefore you always have an temperature difference. Okay, as you move from hot end to cold end, Okay, if you just touch the metallic rod, then you can feel it. On the hot side, it's very hot. As you move from hot end to cold end, you can see that the hotness is decreasing. Okay, so therefore there is always have a temperature difference, and this temperature difference is measured by one quantity is called temperature gradient. You have one quantity to measure this temperature difference. It is called temperature gradient. Okay, now this is the characteristic of an material. What is meant by temperature gradient? Let me assume that for some material. Okay, so this is an so this is from this point to this point. Let me take 1 centimeter. So again, it is 1 centimeter. I am keeping thermometers at a fixed distance. The distance are 1 centimeter. So this is when steady state attend. Now this thing take place. Okay, so you can see here as I move from as you move to the 1 centimeter, your temperature falls from 100 degrees centigrade to 90 degrees centigrade. As I move from 1 centimeter on the other side, again our temperature falls to 80 degrees centigrade. Okay, so if I take these 2 points, okay, if I call this point as point number 1, this point as point number 2. Okay, what is the temperature difference between point 1 and point 2? It is 100 degree centigrade minus 90 degrees centigrade. And what is the distance between point 2 and point 1? How much it is? 1 centimeter. Okay, so therefore you can say that how much it is? 10 degree, 90 minus is 10 degree per 1 centimeter. Okay, if you take any 2 points in the rod, you will get the same answer. Okay, now you can see here, now this one is 60 here. So this is 60. So the temperature at that point is 50 and the distance between them is how much? 1 centimeter. Therefore, it is 10 degree per 1 centimeter. So this is a constant quantity. Okay, so when steady state take place, now this particular term remains constant. That is called temperature gradient. In my particular example, what is the temperature gradient? The temperature gradient is 10 degree per 1 centimeter. That means if you move 1 centimeter away from the hot end, then your temperature decreases by 10 degree centigrade. So this is called temperature gradient. So what is temperature gradient? Temperature gradient is nothing but the difference between the temperature, okay, between the 2 points divided by the distance between the 2 points. If I take x2 as the distance from this one and one, x2. Okay, if I take x1 is the distance of the particle point 1 from the hot end, then what is the distance between 2 and 1? I can write it as x2 minus x1. And what is the temperature difference between T1 and T2? I can write T2 minus T1. So simply I can written as change in temperature between the 2 points to the distance between the 2 points. Now that quantity is called temperature gradient, and this temperature gradient is constant in steady state in case of conduction in case of metallic rods. Okay, so anything you have to study about the conduction, first of all the material should reach this steady state. Okay. Then we can give a fine formula, okay, for the flow of heat through the metallic rod. Okay, they are called laws of thermal conductivity. So if this is a metallic rod, let me take a 3-dimensional shape here. So I can show the area of cross section also. Okay, so now this is a metallic rod. So let me take as L. L is the length of metallic rod. Okay, then A is the area of cross section of the metallic rod. So we are heating at this end, therefore let me take T1 is the temperature of one end, T2 as the temperature of other end. Let me assume that T1 is greater than T2. So this is our hot end. Okay, we are putting some heat on one end, this end here, and this one is the cold end. Okay, so there is hot end, this one is cold end. Okay, so the amount of heat flowing through this metallic rod. Okay, what is the amount of heat flowing through this metallic rod? It can be discussed by using certain experimental observations. Okay, so we are taking certain law based on experimental observations. Okay, we don't need a theoretical proof for this formula. Okay, we are getting this formula based on some experimental observations. Okay, if I take Q is the amount of heat flowing through this metallic rod. What is Q? So you are supplying heat to this end, and that heat is flowing, to the other end. What is the amount of heat flowing through this metallic rod? Let me take this as Q. Okay, amount of heat heat flowing through the metallic rod is, let me call it as Q. Okay, and experiment says that the amount of heat flowing through the rod, first it is directly proportional to area of cross section. The experiment says that it depends on area of cross section A. Okay, if the area of cross section is more, then amount of heat flowing through the metallic rod is also more. Okay, you can easily see here. Okay, if a two area of cross sections, okay, so if I draw the area of cross section in terms of circle, then it is very convenient. Now see here, if a two area of cross section, this one is A1, this one is A2. You can see that A2 is greater than A1. Okay, just imagine that now this is a now water pipe and water is flowing through this pipe. You can see that. So in which case more amount of water is flowing? Yes, definitely in case of second case. Reason is it has more area of cross section. As it has a more area of cross section, you can see that the more amount of water can flow through this pipe. Are you getting me? Same here. If you have more amount of area of cross section, then there will be a possibility of more amount of heat flow. Therefore, amount of heat flowing through the conductor is directly proportional to area of cross section. You have the more area of cross section, then amount of heat flowing through the rod is also greater. Okay, so it is directly proportional. Experiment says that if you double the area of cross section, then amount of heat flowing through the rod also doubles. Okay, second is amount of heat flowing through this metallic rod, it depends on, okay, it is directly proportional to time of passage of heat. Time of passage of heat. That means, okay, now see here, if you're passing heat for some 10 minutes, okay, so that is your heat energy is Q1. In the second case, you are passing heat energy for some 20 minutes, Q2. In which case you will get more amount of heat? Definitely in the second case, because you are giving the more time to flow it. You are allowing water for the 10 minutes. You are allowing water for the 20 minutes. In which case you collect more water? In the second case, because you are allowing for 20 minutes. Now similarly here, amount of heat flowing through the rod is directly proportional to passage of heat. Okay, at what, for what time you are heating? Okay, if you're giving the more time, then you will get more amount of heat energy. Are you getting me? Third one, it also depends on the temperature difference. Okay, so amount of heat flowing through the rod, it depends on temperature difference. Temperature difference between temperature difference between their ends. It depends on the temperature difference between their ends. That means what? Say on a metallic rod, so this end is T1, if this end is T2, okay, if T1 is at 100 degrees centigrade, T2 is also at 100 degrees centigrade, then what is the amount of heat flows through this metallic rod? It is zero. Heat flows only when there is temperature difference. If there is no temperature difference, then heat doesn't flow. Okay. If you take the second case, if this is 100 and this one is 90, then definitely heat flows. Okay. Let me take this one. If I take a second case, if this one is 100 and this one is 60, in which case you observe more amount of heat flow, 100 to 90 or 100 to 60, definitely in the second case. Okay, as you can see that in summer season, if you boil the water, okay, if you left for the cool down, then you can observe that there is a small fall of temperature. Water doesn't get cooled very slowly. It takes certain time. The reason is the surrounding temperature and the water temperature is the difference is small. But if you do the same experiment in winter season, the temperature is very low, it is very cold, then you heat some water, if you heat some food, then after some time, definitely it fastly get cooled. Reason is it has the more temperature difference. If temperature difference is more, then what happens? The flow of heat is also more. Okay, therefore, the third law says that amount of heat flowing is directly proportional to temperature difference. More is the temperature difference, more will be the flow of heat. And the last one is amount of the heat flowing through this rod is how it depends on the length here. Now, experiment says that is inversely proportional. Is inversely proportional. Amount of heat flowing through this one is inversely proportional to the length of the conductor. Length of the conductor. Is inversely proportional to length of the conductor. Okay, as you can see that now if this is a metallic rod having some 10 centimeter, and if I take certain metallic rod which has some 100 centimeter, the length has been increased. You can see that. So in the first case, heat has to move some distance 10 centimeter. In the second case, it has to move 100 centimeter. Therefore, in the second case, it has to travel more to reach that destiny. Therefore, it takes some larger time. In the first case, it takes some lesser time. So in which case we can collect more amount of heat? In the first case. Again, just imagine like an water. Okay, in the first pipe, the length is 10 centimeter. The second pipe length is 100 centimeter. Okay, so you can see that now easily water collects here because it has to travel 10 centimeter, but in the second case it has to travel the 100 centimeter. Therefore, the amount of water collection in the second case is less. So the same here, therefore, if the length is more, then it requires more time to travel. Therefore, the heat energy is less. Therefore, we can say that Q is inversely proportional to length of the conductor. Okay, so is inversely proportional to length of the conductor L, and other quantities are directly proportional. Heat is directly proportional to the temperature difference. The heat is directly proportional to time of passage of heat. Okay, so these are the experimental observations which gives the relation of heat energy with respect to its geometry as well as the nature of the material. Okay, if I combine this result, I can say that Q is directly proportional to area of cross section, Q is directly proportional to temperature difference, Q is directly proportional to time of passage, and Q is inversely proportional to length. Okay, if I combine all this result, then Q directly proportional to A into T2 minus T1 into T divided by L. As you can see that when quantities are directly proportional, you make them equal by taking certain proportionality constant. Okay, let me take K as an proportionality constant. Therefore, I can write this equation as Q is equal to K into A into T2 minus T1 into T by L. Okay, so now this is the formula for amount of heat flowing through the metallic rod. Okay, so experiment says that Q depends on K is understood, T2 minus T1, T and L. So for the sake of to remove the proportionality constant, we are introducing to remove the proportionality, we introduce the proportionality constant, but this time our Q, it also depends on the K. Okay, so I have to find the physical meaning of K. So first of all, this K, we call it as, now this K is called thermal conductivity. It decides the amount of heat flowing through the material. Therefore, we call this term as thermal conductivity. K is called thermal conductivity. Okay, so this is a constant. This is a constant. Mathematics says that it's a proportionality constant, but I have to find the physical meaning of K here. Okay, to find that physical meaning, let me take, see, experiment says that it depends on all these four quantities. Let me take two materials having same area. Okay, if we take two materials having same area of cross section. Okay, so let me take two materials here having the same area of cross section. Okay, so area of cross section is same. The length is also same. Okay, you keep the temperatures also same. This one is also T1, this one is also T2, T2, T2. Okay, the time of passage also heat is also same. Okay, let me take two materials. They are having the same area of cross section. They are having the same length. You are passing the amount of heat for the same time. Everything is same. So Q depends on all these four quantities, and all these four quantities are same in the two material. But let me assume that the one material is copper and the second material is wood. One material is copper and second material is wood. Okay, now you can see that in which case you will get more amount of heat, copper or wood. Definitely in case of copper. Okay, you take wood or plastic. See, you have pressure cooker. Okay, so pressure cooker has two parts. One is container part. Okay, so and second one is, okay, some handle is there. Okay, to handle that cooker you are using handle, and that handle is an plastic. As you can see that container get heated, but your plastic doesn't get heated. The reason is this K. Amount of heat flowing through the rod, it also depend on the nature of the material. It is not same for all the materials. In some materials this may be large, in some materials this may be small. Therefore K depends on what? K depends on nature of the material. Nature of the material. Okay, as you can see here. Okay, you can see here. So therefore the K, depends on nature of the material. It depends on the nature of the material. If K is high, it has high value, then the value of Q is high. That means more amount of heat flows through the conductor. Then such kind of materials are called as good conductors. They are the good conductors of heat. If K is small, K is very small, K is very small, then we call it as such kind of materials as bad conductors. They are called insulators. They doesn't conduct the heat. They are called insulators. Are you getting me? Okay. So Q. Okay, so you can measure Q. Okay, when you go to the BSc, you can have some fine experiment to measure the Q. Okay, simply Q can be defined as Q is equal to K. Okay, I can easily define K. What is meant by K? K becomes Q when you have 1, your area is unity, your temperature difference is also unity, your time of passage is also 1, and your length is also 1. Okay, if you take all this quantity as 1, then you can say that Q is equal to K. Okay, so what is K? Thermal conductivity. And what is the definition of thermal conductivity? Thermal conductivity is nothing but amount of heat. Thermal conductivity is amount of heat flowing through the metallic rod having an unit area, unit time, unit length, and unit temperature difference. It is the amount of heat flowing through a conductor of unit length, of unit area of cross section, unit temperature difference, and the time of passage of the unit is also 1. Then that amount of heat flowing through that metallic rod is said to be, that quantity is nothing but thermal conductivity. Are you getting me? Okay, if you take the SI system, area meter square, the temperature difference Kelvin, time 1 second, length as 1 meter. Okay, in that case the value of K can be written as, so the K is equal to, what is the unit of K? What is the unit of K? If you rearrange these terms, K is equal to, if write K is equal to what? K is equal to Q into L by A into T2 minus T1 into T. Okay, so what is the value of K? Therefore, K can be written as, K is, what is the unit of joule? What is the SI unit of thermal conductivity? What is the SI unit of energy? Joule. What is the SI unit of length? Meter. What is the SI unit of area of cross section? Meter square. Temperature difference is Kelvin, and this one is second. Are you getting me? Therefore, what is the SI unit of K? SI unit of this one is, so 1 meter get cancel, so you can write as joule meter Kelvin second. So this is joule per meter per Kelvin per second. Okay, so you can write it as joule per meter per Kelvin per second. So this is the SI unit of thermal conductivity. Okay, sometimes it can also be written as, now you can see that joule per second, energy divided by time. Energy divided by time, that is the definition of power. Okay, so therefore the joule per second is nothing but the unit of power. And what is the other unit of power? Watt. Okay, so what is 1 watt? 1 watt is 1 joule per 1 second. Therefore, K can also be written as watt per meter per Kelvin. Okay, you can also write as watt per meter per Kelvin, because joule per second is nothing but watt. Okay, so now this is about conduction. Okay, so in the next lecture we talk about convection. Thank you for your kind attention.